Hello everybody and welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Today we're going to be discussing a couple things including our game review recap. We're going to be discussing some of the game reviews that have happened over Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to be discussing all the games that are happening on Thursday and Friday. And we're going to be discussing the 20 game mark recap as all the teams have now hit the 20 game mark. We'll go to all of that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. We are so close to 100 subscribers. Thank you for all of your support. I'll never be able to do with all of you guys, so don't forget to subscribe. Before I start off this video, just going to do a channel update. If any of you guys noticed over the past couple of months, my camera was sort of going a little bit. As you can see, it started to get a little bit more fuzzy. So I've just picked up a new camera. Hopefully it's a little bit better quality. So there will be a couple of different things that I'm going to have to change over the next couple of weeks just to make sure everything's working properly. But hopefully the video quality and the microphone quality is also really good and a little bit clearer now. So hopefully that's all good for you guys. And hopefully it's a little bit better sounding and a little bit better visual. So hopefully that's a little bit good. If it looks a little bit weird, try and fix a couple of kinks out over the next couple of weeks, but that's a little bit of a new channel update I want to discuss here today. So going over to a quick game review over the past couple of days, we've had 12 games over the past couple of days. We've had 8 games on Wednesday, 4 games on Thursday, so definitely a lot of games that have been happening over the past little while. We'll start with the ones that happened on Thursday. There were 8 games that happened on Thursday. First, the Ottawa Senators were able to get up to a early 2-0 lead and really halted a couple of comeback attempts from the New York Rangers and wound up beating them 6-2. A fantastic win there for the Ottawa Senators to beat the New York Rangers. For the Senators, they improved to 10-10-0 at the 20 game mark. They're the final team to hit the 20 game mark. For the New York Rangers, they dropped down to 18-5-1. So it was a really good game from both sides. Both teams had a really good game, but it was the Senators who came away with the victory. Tarasenko had 2 goals and 8 assists. Batherson had a goal and 2 assists, both had 3-point nights. Tkachuk had scored twice. Giroux had a goal and 8 assists. And Zub and Brandstrom also had 2 assists for the Senators in the win, while Panarin had a goal and 8 assists, and Miller also scored in the loss for the Rangers. So it was a really good game. Early on, this was a really close, tightly contested affair. It looked like the Rangers at some points were going to possibly win, but at the end of the day, it was the Senators that come away with the victory, and it was a very good victory at that for Ottawa. So good things there for the Senators as they improved their record to 500 at the 20 game mark, which is fantastic. Definitely lots of good offensive weapons that came away in this one for the Senators, and they did definitely look really, really good. So a good win there for all the Senators to improve to 10-0. Then we saw the Columbus Blue Jackets get up to a 3-0 lead. It looked like they were actually going to win yet another game, but the Kings would come back. 3 straight goals in the third period, including the OT winner from Drew Doughty, was able to give the LA Kings a 4-3 OT victory over the Columbus Blue Jackets. What a win that was for the LA Kings, who came back from 3-0 down to win it in overtime. They improved to 15-4-3, while the Jackets dropped to 8-14-5. So that was a really good win there for the LA Kings. Kings are able to get Deneau scoring twice, Gavrikov had 2 assists, and then Kaliev and Doughty, the OT winner, both also scored for the Kings in the win, while Gaudreau had a goal and 8 assists, and both Olivier and Marchenko also scored for the Jackets in the loss. So it was a really good game from both sides. Jackets looked like they were going to run away with this one, but it was the LA Kings who came away with the win. A very good win for the LA Kings, who continue to improve their record and are now, I think, second in the Pacific Division, if I'm correct, only a little bit behind the Vegas Golden Knights. So fantastic win there for the LA Kings. Then we saw the San Jose Sharks come back from down 4-1 to oust the New York Islanders 5-4 in overtime, including this goal here from William Eklund. Eklund was able to get the OT winner. Remember, all clips were created at Sportsnet, but Eklund was able to get the OT winner. It was a fantastic victory for San Jose Sharks as they were able to down the New York Islanders 5-4 in overtime. Sharks improved to 7-17-2. Islanders dropped down to 10-7-7, so really good stuff there from the San Jose Sharks. Hurdle had a hat-trick in this game, was able to get the game-tying goal as well, so Hurdle had a fantastic game in this one. Eklund also had a 3-point night goal, with a game winner, like we said, OT winner, and 2 assists. Granlund had 2 assists, and LeBanc also scored for the Sharks in the win. While for the Islanders, Riley had a goal and 8 assists, Horvat and Holmstrom both had 2 assists, and Gauthier, Nelson, and Pulak also scored for the Islanders in the loss. So not a great game from the Islanders, and it's another blown lead. They've lost a lot of games due to to blown leads this year. So not great stuff there from the Islanders, but fantastic game from the Sharks, who continue to show that they're doing a lot better than they have been over the past little while. So good things there from the Sharks. Then we saw the Red Wings go up to a 4-0 lead. Late in the third period, the Sabres would somehow crawl their way back to make it a 1-goal game at 4-3, but the Red Wings would hold on, and they do wind up being the Sabres 5-3. So a really good win there from the Red Wings, and once again, the Sabres' poor start winds up costing them this game. They improved to 14-7-3. Sabres dropped to 10-14-2. So it was a really good game there from the Red Wings. For Detroit, Larkin scored twice. Fabry and Rasmussen both had a goal and an assist, and Seider also scored for Red Wings in the win. Well, Skinner had a goal and an assist, and both Daly and Milstead also scored for Sabres in the loss. So not great stuff there from the Buffalo Sabres, who could have definitely done a little bit better in this game, especially early on when they definitely dug themselves into a hole that they really eventually couldn't end up digging themselves out of. But for the Red Wings, fantastic game from them. They definitely had a really good game in this one, and they continue to climb the Atlantic standings with teams like Florida, Tampa, Toronto. They're definitely looking really, really good right now. Meanwhile, Buffalo's now 4 games below 500, and a team who had playoff aspirations is now closing in on not making the playoffs. So really bad stuff there from the Buffalo Sabres. Then we saw the Nashville Predators in a very close, tightly contested affair beat the Chicago Blackhawks 4-3 in a shootout. Huge win there for the Predators to improve to 13-12-0, back up above 500. Well, for the Blackhawks, they dropped to 7-16-1. So they at least get a point out of this one, but this is their 10th loss in 11 games, if I'm correct. They're not looking overly good right now. For the Predators, Jankowski, Evangelista, and O'Reilly were the 3 regulation goal scorers, while Nyquist, O'Reilly, and Forsberg were the 3 shootout goal scorers in the win. So fantastic stuff there from Nashville. As for the Blackhawks, Foligno had 3.0 with 2 goals and an assist. Jones had 2 assists. Dickinson also scored in regulation, and Bedard was the lone goal scorer in the shootout. So fantastic. Definitely did extremely well in this game, but they do come away with a shootout loss as they dropped to 7-16-1. Preds improve to 13-12-0, so Preds are still in the playoff race. Hawks are still one of the bottom dwellers in the league. Then you had the Avalanche in a rematch of a game on Saturday, wound up beating the Anaheim Ducks. It was a fantastic game, and the Avalanche definitely did extremely well. They were able to get up to a 3-0 lead. Fantastic lead for the Avalanche, and even though the Ducks had a late comeback attempt, they would hold on for a 3-2 victory to get their first win in the last couple of games after losing to Anaheim and LA over the weekend. So really good stuff there for the Avalanche, improving to 16-7-2, dropping the Anaheim Ducks to 10-15-0. So really good stuff there from Colorado. McKinnon had 3.9 with a goal and 2 assists. Duran had 2 assists, and O'Connor and McDermott also scored for the Avalanche in the win, while Carrick and Carlson were the 2 goal scorers for Ducks in the loss. Ducks dropped to 10-15-0. So Ducks continue to have really bad last few games. I think they've lost 9 of 10, so they're not doing overly well right now. They're still 20 points, but not overly good right now, and they do lose another game. Avalanche should win, and it's a huge win to give them a little bit of a cushion between them and the Dallas Stars. So really good stuff there. Then we saw the Minnesota Wild continue their winning streak, beating the Calgary Flames 5-2. Huge win there for the Minnesota Wild, who improved to 9-10-4 with their 4th straight win, while the Flames dropped to 10-12-3. So after the Flames got back up to 500, they now lost 2 straight. 2 games below 500. They're not doing overly well right now. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota Wild, they look fantastic. Wild are doing pretty good job right now at winning a couple of games, and they've really done well to get themselves back in the playoff race. They're 9-10-4. They're only 1 game below 500 now. Boldy had a 3.9, 2 goals and an assist. Kaprizov had a goal and an assist, and Ek and Foligno also scored for the Wild in the win, while Backlund and Zari were 2 goal scorers in the loss for the Calgary Flames. So not great stuff there from the Flames, but it was definitely a really good game there from the Minnesota Wild, who got a huge win to improve their winning streak to 4 games. It was really good early on, but the Wild were the team who led throughout this game, and it was a great game for the Minnesota Wild. The Flames continue to fall a little bit here as of late. So really good stuff there for Minnesota. Then we saw the battle of the Hughes brothers between Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes as the Canucks took on the Devils. Really great game there. The Devils were up 5-2 at one point. The Canucks would come back, tied at 5 late, but then thanks to this goal here from Jesper Bratt with under a minute left would give the New Jersey Devils a very late game winner, as the Devils were able to come away with a huge 6-5 win over the Vancouver Canucks to improve to 12-10-1, dropping the Canucks to 16-9-1. So fantastic stuff there from the New Jersey Devils. For the Devils, Hughes had 3-point nights with a goal and 2 assists. Bratt scored twice, Ball had 2 assists, and Luke Hughes, McLeod, and Holtz also scored for the Devils in the win. While for the Canucks, Miller had a 3-point night, a goal and 2 assists. Besser had a goal and an assist. Quinn Hughes and Pettersson both had 2 assists, while Lafferty, Hoglander, and Joshua also scored for the Canucks in the loss. So not great stuff there from the Canucks. It was a really close game. This could have gone to overtime, but the Devils do come away with a late game winner to not need overtime. Devils now back up to 2 games above 500. They're not looking overly bad right now. Canucks continue to fall a little bit. They are 6-7-0 in the last 13. They're down to 16-9-1, so they're not playing as good as they have been to start the season, but they're still doing pretty good. And this was a really good winnable game that really wound up slipping through their fingers. So not great news there for the Canucks, as that's a point or two they could have easily gotten. So really bad stuff there from Vancouver, but Jersey's starting to play like they usually do, outscoring their opponents and having a really lethal offense. So really good stuff there for Jersey. Then yesterday we saw 4 games that happened. Those were the 8 game reviews from the couple of days ago. Yesterday we saw 4 games happen. First, the Pittsburgh Penguins and Tampa Bay Lightning. First time since the Christian Jarry goalie goal a week ago. Wound up playing again. This time it was the Bolts who come away on top. Bolts were able to get a 3-1 victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins to improve to 12-10-5 and have back-to-back wins. While the Penguins dropped to 11-11-3, are back down to 500. So not great news there for the Penguins. Good stuff there from Tampa, though. Kucherov had a goal and an assist. Hedman had 2 assists. And Cyril and Janot both also scored for the Bolts in the win. While for the Penguins, Gensel was a lone goal scorer. So it was not a great game there from the Penguins. They scored a late goal to make it a 3-1 game. But this was all Bolts all the time. For the second consecutive game, the Tampa Bay Lightning had a fantastic game. And it was able to lead them to a victory. So very good stuff there from Tampa, who were able to improve their record and gain in the standings in the Eastern Conference. Then we saw the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning's Florida rivals, take on the Dallas Stars. This was a really close game as well, not too far apart. The Panthers came away into the third period with a 3-1 lead, wound up giving it up really quickly with 3-3, but then a couple of goals from the Florida Panthers were able to give them a 5-3 lead, and they would hold on for a 5-4 victory to improve to 15-8-2, dropping the Dallas Stars to 14-7-3. So a fantastic win there for the Florida Panthers. Definitely a really good win there. Rodriguez had 4-point night with 2 goals and 2 assists. Reinhart had 3-point night, goal and 2 assists. Barkov had a goal and an assist. Mikkola had 2 assists. And Verhaeghe also scored for the Panthers in the win, while Harley and Marchment both also had a goal and an assist. And Duchesne had 2 assists, and both Fox and Dadonov also scored for the Stars in the loss, as they fall to 14-7-3. So it wasn't a great game there from the Stars, but they definitely kept in it. They were able to tie it back up early in the third. They made it a close game late in the third, but it was the Florida Panthers came with a victory. Once again, fantastic stuff there, and their top 6 continues to produce at an unreal level. Reinhardt's doing fantastic. Rodriguez has had a fantastic start to the season. Barkov's doing good. So yeah, the Panthers look absolutely phenomenal right now and definitely look really good. You go over to the other 2 games that happened yesterday involving the Pacific Division teams. The Golden Knights were down 3-1 at the end of the first period. It looked like it was going to be another sour game for the Golden Knights, but then they had a stunning 4-goal second period, including this goal here from Keegan Kolesar. Kolesar was able to give the Knights a 4-3 lead at one point in the second period, and that wound up being the game winner, and at the time was the game leader, as the Golden Knights were able to win 6-3. They scored 5 unanswered after being down 3-1 at the end of one, and they get a huge win over the St. Louis Blues to improve their record to 17-5-5, dropping the Blues to 13-11-1. So fantastic win there from the Vegas Golden Knights to continue to lead the Pacific and the Western Conference. So very good stuff there from Vegas. Eichel, Kolesar, Carlson all had a goal and an assist. Barbashev had 2 assists, and Amadio, Marchessault, and Whitecloud also scored for the Knights in the win, while Kyrou had a goal and an assist, and Hayes and Neighbors also scored for the Blues in the loss. So it wasn't a great game from the Blues. Fantastic first period, but after that they sort of collapsed, and the Vegas Golden Knights, who know what they need to do to take over a game, wound up taking over this game and scored 5 straight to get the 6-3 victory. So fantastic stuff there from Vegas to keep the division title. And then we saw the Edmonton Oilers take on the Carolina Hurricanes. Oilers were able to score 3 quick goals within the first, I think, 5 or 6 minutes of the first period, and held on for a huge 6-1 victory over the Carolina Hurricanes. It was a fantastic win there for the Edmonton Oilers to get a huge win. For the Oilers, they improved to 10-12-1, while the Canes dropped to 14-10-1. So not great stuff there from Carolina. Hyman had a hat trick. Yamark had 3 assist nights, so did McDavid. All 3 of them had 3-point nights. Fogle had a goal and an assist. Bouchard had 2 assists, and McLeod and Eklund both also scored for the Oilers in the win, while Stahl's lone goal scored for the Carolina Hurricanes in the loss. So it was a really good win there for the Edmonton Oilers. They really did well. They improved in this game, and they continue to look really well. They're on a 5-game winning streak, if I'm correct. They are scoring at an unreal level, and their defense is not doing overly bad. Their defense is keeping them in games still, and their offense has started to flourish under new coach Chris Knobloch. So definitely, they're starting to play a lot better, and it's showing with the Edmonton Oilers as they continue to win, and they're climbing back up the standings, and they're not too far of a wildcard spot. So good news there for the Edmonton Oilers as they sort of start started to get out from their slow start to the season and are starting to look a lot better now. But those are all of your game reviews from Tuesday and Wednesday. So a lot of good games we've seen over those past couple of days. But going over to a couple of quick 20 game updates here. So for the Ottawa Senators, like we said, they were the last team to hit the 20 game mark yesterday. At the 20 game mark, they have a 10-10-0 record for 20 points, 70 goals for, 65 goals against, a +5 rating. Players with 14 points or more at the 20 game mark. Mathieu Joseph has 5 goals, 11 assists, 16 points. Tarasenko has 5 goals, 12 assists, 17 points. Batherson has 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points. Giroux has 7 goals, 12 assists, 19 points. Tkachuk has 13 goals, 6 assists, 19 points. He's on pace for 53 goals. And then Stützle has 5 goals, 19 assists, 24 points. He's on pace for 78 assists and 99 points. So Stützle's on pace for nearly 100 points, which is fantastic. Tkachuk's on pace for around 50 goals, which is fantastic. And the Sens teams looked all right, but not fantastic. I think they could look a little bit better to start the season. So very good stuff there for the Ottawa Senators. And now with the Ottawa Senators done, we can now look at the standings as of the 20 game mark. So just quick reminder here, players who hit over 25 points at the 20 game mark 85% of the time usually wind up making the playoffs. Players who have over 28 points at the 20 game mark usually wind up making the playoffs around 90% of the time. Players who have under a 500 record at the 20 game mark only have around a 12% chance of making the playoffs. Players who have under 16 points at the 20 game mark very, very rarely make the playoffs. I think it's a 0% chance in the last 8 years, 8 full seasons. And then you also have teams who are in a playoff spot at the 20 game mark. 81% of the time usually make the playoffs. So here's the standings as of the 20 game mark. The Boston Bruins have 31 points, followed by Florida with 25, Detroit with 25. The Rangers have 31 points, followed by Washington with 26 and Carolina with 24. Toronto with 25 as first wild card and Tampa with 23 second wild card. So if you look at the playoff matchups, you would have the Rangers take on the Bolts, the Bruins take on the Maple Leafs, Panthers take on Red Wings, and Capitals take on Canes. And then the teams who are out of the playoff spot, Islanders out by 1 point at 22 points. Flyers and Devils are out by 2 points at 21. Penguins, Senators, Sabres, Canadians are all only out by 3 points as they have 500 records. And then the Columbus Blue Jackets are out by 9 points as they are down at 14 points. So the Jackets are the only team in the Eastern Conference under 500. They're also under 16 points, so it looks like it's very bleak for the Jackets to make the playoffs this year. Meanwhile, Boston, Florida, Detroit, Washington, New York Rangers, and Toronto are all above 25 points, while the Rangers and Bruins are above 28 points, so really good stuff there for those teams. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, we already went over this, but I'll go over this again. The Golden Knights have 30 points, followed by 29-point LA and 27-point Vancouver. 28-point Colorado, followed by 28-point Dallas and 26-point Winnipeg. That's followed by 23-point St. Louis and 20-point Nashville. So if the playoffs were to start today, you would have Nashville taking on Vegas, St. Louis taking on Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, and LA, Vancouver. So very good stuff there. Then you'd have Arizona out of a playoff spot with 20 points. And then you have 19-point Calgary, 19-point Seattle, 18-point Anaheim, 16-point Minnesota, 15-point Edmonton, 14-point Chicago, and 8-point San Jose. All the teams who are currently out of a playoff spot at the 20 game mark. So the West looks fantastic in my opinion. Now, teams who have over 28 points it would be Dallas, Colorado, LA, and Vegas, who would all be above 28 points, while Vancouver and Winnipeg will be added to teams who are over 25 points. So those teams look like they're pretty good and pretty well positioned to make the playoffs. Meanwhile, basically half of the Western Conference is under 500 at this point. Calgary's at 19, Seattle's at 19, Anaheim's at 18, and then even further down, Minnesota at 16, Edmonton at 15, Chicago at 14, San Jose at 8. So those teams don't look overly well right now, and it's not looking overly good for them making the playoffs. But definitely will be interesting to see what winds up happening with those teams. But definitely it'll be interesting to see who ends up making it at the 20 game mark, who ends up missing. But definitely it looks like teams are doing really, really good at this point in time. The West looks a lot more weaker than the East at this point in time. You have a couple of good dominant teams at the top of the conference. Meanwhile, the lower end is all basically mediocre teams. Meanwhile, in the East, you have a lot of really good teams. So it'll be interesting to see who does wind up making the playoffs and who doesn't, and which teams were in the playoff spot at a 20 game mark who did wind up making it. So it'll be interesting to see. Just a couple of quick notes here for 20 game mark things too. Here's a couple of players who have on pace at the 20 game mark to hit 50 plus goals at the 20 game mark. That's Kyle Connor and Austin Matthews, who are both on pace for 57 goals. And then David Pastrnak, JT Miller, Nikita Kucherov, Sam Reinhart, Sidney Crosby, Brock Besser, Frank Vetrano, Chris Kreider, and Brady Tkachuk were all on pace for 53 goals at the 20 game mark. So that's a lot of players who are on pace for 50 plus goals at the 20 game mark. So a couple of these guys will probably be able to keep pace and wind up scoring. Some of these guys will tail off and only score something like maybe 35-40, but still still, a lot of great starts from those guys. And then here is a list of players who are on pace for 100 plus points at the 20 game mark. So David Pastrnak and Quinn Hughes were both on pace for 127 points. Cale Makar 124 points. JT Miller and Artemi Panarin 123 points. Kucherov 119 points. Draisaitl and Elias Pettersson 115 points. Nylander 110 points. McKinnon and Jack Hughes 107 points. Rantanen 106 points. Bratt 103 points, as well as McDavid. And then Forsberg and Reinhart were both on pace for 102 points. So definitely lots of great stuff there. That's a lot of players who would be above 100 at the end of the season if they keep up their pace from the 20 game mark. Reinhart will be a surprise. I was not expecting him to have that good of a season. Same thing with Forsberg. Brad, I was expecting to have a good season, but not this good of a season. Nylander's over 110 points at this point in time on pace. Panarin's putting up over 120 points, definitely. No one's on pace to replicate Matthews' 152 points from last year, but there are a ton of teams who are currently on pace to hit at least triple digits. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up hitting triple digits, who ends up hitting 50 goals, but those are some of your notes from the 20 game mark. As like I said, it's a really big important thing in my opinion to start the season, and I think it's definitely going to be an important thing for all these teams. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think that's a really interesting stat to see all those teams at the 20 game mark, who's in the playoffs, who's above 25 and 28 points, who's below 20 and 16 points. And it'll be interesting to see which one of those teams winds up making the playoffs at the end of the season, and which one of those teams winds up missing the playoffs, and if any of those players on pace for 50 plus goals or 100 plus points wind up finishing with 50 plus goals or 100 plus points. So it'll be interesting to see. And lastly here, going over to a couple of quick game previews. Now, we have a couple of games today and tomorrow. There are 13 games today, 3 games tomorrow. So we'll get to all those game previews here right now. So today we have a couple of games. The Buffalo Sabres take on the Boston Bruins at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Sabres looking for a win to sort of turn their season around, get back to a winning record, and avoid going 5 games below 500. Bruins, meanwhile, looking for a huge win to sort of gain on the standings in the Atlantic. Then you have the Detroit Red Wings, who are looking to gain on teams like Florida and Boston in the Atlantic Division, take on the San Jose Sharks, who are looking for back-to-back wins again. The LA Kings look for yet another win to close the gap between them and the Vegas Golden Knights in the Pacific, taking on the Montreal Canadiens, who are looking to get back above 500. And also at 4 o'clock, we have the Battle of Ontario again. Leafs take on the Senators. Sens looking to get back to above 500. Leafs trying to keep pace with Detroit and Florida for a top 3 spot in the Atlantic. At 4:30, we have Jackets take on the Islanders. Columbus looking to get somewhat closer to 500. The Islanders looking to avoid yet another collapse in game like they saw in last game against the San Jose Sharks. Dallas Stars take on the Washington Capitals at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Stars looking to gain on the Colorado Avalanche for top spot in the Central. Caps looking to end this 2-game losing streak of theirs and hopefully not have a bad game as they did a couple of days ago against the Coyotes. Preds take on the Lightning at 5 p.m. Pacific time as well. Bolts looking to win both of their games on their second half of a back-to-back. Predators looking to get to 2 games above 500. At 5:30, we have the Ducks take on the Blackhawks. Ducks looking to avoid yet another loss. Same with the Blackhawks. I think both these teams have lost like 9 of 10 or 10 of 11. So both teams are going to be looking for important wins to get out of their losing streaks. The Philadelphia Flyers take on the Arizona Coyotes. 2 surprisingly good starts from some teams. Flyers looking to get to 4 games above 500. Coyotes looking to keep their winning streak going up to 6 games. So it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. Then at 6 p.m. Pacific time as well, we have the Avalanche take on the Jets. 2 of the top 3 teams in the Central Division play each other. Avalanche trying to separate between them and the Jets, Jets trying to close the gap. Then we have the Carolina Hurricanes take on the Flames at 6 o'clock as well. Flames looking to avoid going 3 games below 500. Carolina looking to avenge after losing the game to the Edmonton Oilers yesterday. So they're looking for a big win here today. The Minnesota Wild will look to get back up to 500, taking on the Vancouver Canucks at 7 o'clock because the Canucks look to improve their record. Then at 7:30, we have the Devils and the Kraken. Devils look for yet another win and a huge win to improve their record to 3 games above 500. Kraken look to avoid yet another loss to drop 5 games below 500, so it'll be interesting to see how those games go, but those are all of our games on tap for today. And then there's going to be 3 games tomorrow, not a whole bunch of game action tomorrow. The Blues play Blue Jackets at 4 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. Blues looking to get another win, avoid going to only 1 game above 500. Jackets looking to, in the second half of back-to-back, win a couple of games to close the gap between them and the 500 mark. The Penguins take on the Panthers Panthers at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Penguins looking to end this sort of mini losing streak they're on right now. Panthers looking for yet another win to improve in the Atlantic Division. And then at 6 p.m. Pacific time, the two teams who have made coaching changes this year are both looking for important wins. The Wild are going to be looking to possibly extend their winning streak if they do against the Vancouver Canucks tonight. Oilers will be looking to extend their winning streak after they went to their 5th straight win yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see. We could have two teams on 5-game winning streaks playing each other, both teams looking for huge wins. So it'll be interesting to see, but those are your game previews for the next couple of days. Now going over to a quick look at the standings as of December 7th, 2023. The Boston Bruins lead the Atlantic Division at 37 points, followed by 32-point Florida and 31-point Detroit. 37-point New York Rangers are first in the Metro, followed by 29-point Carolina and 28-point Philadelphia. 29-point Tampa is first wildcard, 28-point Toronto is second wildcard, and then 27-point NYI, 26-point Washington, 25-point New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Montreal, 22-point Buffalo, 21-point Columbus, and 20-point Ottawa are currently the team's out of a playoff spot. But Ottawa's also played the least amount of games out of everyone in the NHL. So as much as they're bottom dwellers in the Eastern Conference, they have a little bit of opportunity here to get out of the bottom end of the league. So it'll be interesting to see there. The Avalanche lead the Central Division with 34 points, followed by 31-point Dallas and 30-point Winnipeg. 39-point Vegas leads the Pacific Division, followed by 33-point LA and 33-point Vancouver. And then 28-point Arizona is first wildcard, 27-point St. Louis is second wildcard, and then 26-point Nashville, 23-point Calgary, 22-point Minnesota, 22-point Seattle, 21-point Edmonton, 20-point Anaheim, 16-point San Jose, and 15-point Chicago are all currently out of a playoff spot as of December 7th, 2023. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the season goes, but those are your standings as of right now. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of this down in the comment section below. What do you think about all of this stuff? What were some of your most intriguing games over the past couple of days? Like, was it Vegas winning? Was it Carolina losing to Edmonton? Was it the Jack Hughes versus Quinn Hughes battle? So which one of the games were you most interested in over the past couple of days? Are you surprised by the 20-game mark? Do you think any of these teams wind up making the playoffs, missing the playoffs? I'd love to hear your thoughts on 20-game standings, plus all those players who are on pace to hit at least 50-plus goals or 100-plus points. And on top of that, are you surprised at anything in the standings right now? And which games are you looking forward to over the next couple of days? Definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of this down in the comment section below. But that's what I'm going to talk about for today. Remember to like this video, and if you're related to it, remember to subscribe down below. We are so close to 100 subscribers. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without you guys. So don't forget to subscribe. I also do a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So definitely check that out. I'll leave links down in the description below. And I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.